I don't have to tell anybody, but we are living in crazy times, and there is, unfortunately, a lot of very bad news out there. And I'm going to go over some of that bad news, but what I will be talking about in a minute, and I want everyone to appreciate it, is that there is a lot of very good news as well. And I'll get to that in a second. The bad news, in case you don't know, is that Donald Trump is President of the United States. And he is a president who is, in my view, mentally unstable and increasingly out of control. And what we are seeing is that the American people, in poll after poll, are really quite tired of a president who is a pathological liar, who is an authoritarian, who wants more and more power in his own hands as he ignores the Constitution and the rule of law. This guy is a narcissist who would like to name half of the buildings in America after him. He's a kleptocrat. His family, since he returned to the White House, he is now over $2 billion richer. But to be very honest with you, the bad news goes beyond Donald Trump. The reality is that today we are living in a society which has more income and wealth inequality than we have ever had in the history of the United States. Makes the Gilded Age of Rockefeller look like an egalitarian utopia. Today you got the top 1% owning more wealth than the bottom 93%, and one man, Mr. Musk, our good friend, owns more wealth than the bottom half the households in America. Meanwhile, while the very rich get richer, 60% of our people live paycheck to paycheck. We have the highest rate of childhood poverty of any major country on earth, and 1 out of 3 senior citizens is struggling economically. I don't have to tell anybody that we are living under a corrupt campaign finance system. Right now, you have billionaire-funded super PACs spending all kinds of money on elections, trying to elect candidates who represent the wealthy and powerful, defeat candidates who represent the working families of this country. We have a healthcare system, in case you hadn't noticed, which is broken, it is dysfunctional, it is wildly expensive. By far the most expensive healthcare system in the world. We're dealing right now with climate change. All that the scientists predicted for years happening right now. We're seeing uncontrolled forest fires, not only in the United States, Canada, around the world. We're seeing extreme weather disturbances. We're seeing drought. We're seeing flooding. We're seeing the reality that the last 11 years have been the warmest 11 years on record. See that? Climate change. And then guess what? You got artificial intelligence, AI, which is a real threat to us in many, many ways if we don't get our hands on it in an appropriate way and control it. And then, I don't have to tell anybody that we're in the midst of this terrible war in Iran. Thousands of people have been killed. So, that is the bad news, and it is pretty bad. But here is the good news. And the good news is that the American people across the country, whether they're progressives, moderates, conservatives, they're beginning to catch on that the economy is rigged and that the campaign finance system is corrupt. And what we are seeing is that the winds of political revolution are blowing strong from California to New York and a lot of communities in between. Over the last year, it's important that everybody understand this. Progressives have won major and often upset victories in New York City. U.S Iran is mayor. Members of Congress from New York City also been elected. We've won victories in Arizona. mayor's office in Washington, D.C., mayor's office in Seattle, Washington, congressional seats in New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Montana, Colorado, California, Wisconsin. We've won Senate primaries in Michigan and Minnesota. And unbelievably, just last week, Angie Nixon won an incredible victory in Florida, taking on the entire Democratic establishment, being outspent 16-1, and she won by a 12-point majority. So what we are seeing is people are tired of status quo politics. They no longer trust the establishment. They are tired of status quo policies that they understand are working for the rich and the powerful, not for working families. And progressives are winning elections for reasons that are not complicated. Unlike establishment candidates, progressives are actually talking about the real issues that working families are dealing with, and more importantly, they are providing real solutions, which is what Americans want. The American people are saying, yeah, we get it. Trump is a disaster. That's fine. You can criticize him all you want. That's not going to provide health care to me. It's not going to raise my wages. What do you have to offer? And progressives are stepping up to the plate and providing real solutions. I mean, in terms of income and wealth inequality, what progressives are saying, when the people on top, the billionaire class, has never, ever had it so good, we need to impose a wealth tax on billionaires that will raise enormous amounts of revenue that can improve life for working families throughout this country. Progressives are saying that we need to raise the minimum wage to a living wage, at least $20 an hour, that we need to make it easier for workers to join unions so they can negotiate decent wages and benefits and working conditions. Progressives are saying that the current campaign finance system is broken and corrupt. And yeah, of course, we got to get rid of Citizens United. Everyone says that. But what progressives are saying, we need to get super PACs out of Democratic primaries. Billionaires and their super PACs should not be able to buy primary victories. So progressives are talking about that, and people are catching on, which is why, despite the fact that people like Angie Nixon were outspent 16-1, she won the election. Progressives also understand that the current healthcare system is broken and that we need a new system, and that we have to understand, like every other major country on earth, that healthcare is a human right, and we cannot continue to be the only major country not to guarantee healthcare to all people. And almost without exception, every progressive candidate is fighting for a Medicare for all single-payer system, which will guarantee health care to all. It will expand Medicare to cover hearing, dental, and vision. So addressing the healthcare crisis is something that progressives are talking about in a very significant way. Progressives understand that climate change is a threat not only to America but to the entire planet, and that we need to take on the fossil fuel industry and all their billions of dollars in their campaign contributions, transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy, and that when we do that, we can create millions of good-paying union jobs. And progressives also understand that AI and robotics, developed and pushed by the wealthiest people on earth, that these are the most transformational technologies in the history of humanity. It can impact every man, woman, and child in our country. And if we don't aggressively intervene, these technologies will likely lead to the loss of many millions of jobs. They will eviscerate our privacy rights, undermine our democracy, and negatively impact the health and well-being of our kids. And by the way, if AI ever becomes independent of human control, and we have in the last month seen examples of that, it could threaten the very existence and well-being of humanity. And last but not least, progressives understand that our current foreign policy is a disaster. They understand, going back to Vietnam, that war was based on a lie. The war in Iraq, based on a lie. The war in Iran that Trump launched with Netanyahu, based on a lie. And that we have got to transform our foreign policy away from these endless wars. And what progressives are almost totally united on is that we cannot continue to spend tens of billions of dollars funding the extremist Netanyahu government in Israel. So, the bottom line here is that we are in a really interesting and enormously important moment in modern American history. People are looking at the Democratic leadership. They're saying, sorry, we don't believe in you. Looking at Trump and the Republican leadership. They're saying, we don't believe in you. People are looking for change. They're looking for common sense. They're trying to understand what's going on in this country and the solutions to the problems that we face. And that's why progressives are doing so well. And progressive candidates are doing well, not just because of their abilities, they're doing well because of you. All over this country, we have seen an unprecedented involvement in political campaigns. They got the money, we got the people. People are volunteering in a way that we have never seen before. We got an election coming up in a couple of months. Certainly the most important election in a midterm election in maybe forever. It's imperative that Democrats gain control over the House and the Senate. We put a check on Trump's disastrous policies, but that's not good enough. We've got to elect strong progressives, so we're going to stand up and make the fight for the working families of this country and the fight to take on the oligarchs and create a government and an economy that work for all. So we got an enormous amount of work to do in the next couple of months. And we have got to do it. Despair is not an option. Hiding under the pillows is not an option. We've got to stand up. We've got to fight back. And the good news is we are winning. We've got a good trajectory. Let's keep it going. And I look forward to working with all of you to make those victories happen.